Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Doing Business in Bentonville. My name is Andy Wilson, and I am your host this morning. And I tell you, I'm so excited. One, there's a huge group here today. It's just awesome. So this is Andrew Fano. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
It's so good to have you. And we've got just a great group here across the table from us, don't we?
Yeah,
well, I would tell you, this is so large, I thought, well, I got to get Andrew to help me facilitate this huge event. So you're with a great company. I've read so much about Slalom. So tell us about Slalom. Then I want you to introduce our guests this morning, okay?
Absolutely. So I guess a great place to start, and the way I like to, when I tell people about my experience with Slalom and what they do and what we do, is why I joined. So I had I had a great boss, and I have a rule. Like, if you have a great boss, you can work at a horrible company and you can have a good life. And I had a pretty good life. But Slalom is, they have a persistent individual that I think probably had a play in everyone joining over here in Dan with our talent acquisition group. And he was very persistent. And they convinced me to go up to St. Louis. And what really brought me on board is they say culture kills strategy. But if you get culture and strategy together and right, it is unstoppable. And I looked up on a wall and it was covered in bobbleheads. And I was like, what is this? And at 5 years, you get a bobblehead maybe and put on the wall. And I thought that's kind of nice. You know, they look to folks and there's some recognition there and they're all personalized about what they're doing. And then I looked and there's this other, a very small little shelf, but there's some bobbleheads there and they're for people that left. And that's either retired or they found something that was more passion-filling for them. But they still celebrate those individuals that spent that time with them. And I think that's just, it speaks to this fiercely human culture that Slalom has. And it, you know, you look at it, it is an organization that goes after solving problems for customers and not about going in and being a managed service provider. It's about, you know, delivering outcomes. And it was something that sometimes in prior lives, we would come up with an incredible insight and the client would recognize it, but they didn't have the horsepower or the will to get it done. And that's what Slalom does. And that's what I'm really excited about this team sharing today.
Great. Well, okay, that is amazing. And is there one of you now on the wall up there?
I am not 5 years yet, but
okay. So in 5 years you get that.
Yeah, and there's going to be a wall somewhere here in town because we're setting up an office in Northwest Arkansas.
All right. Okay. Introduce our guests this morning.
Absolutely. So I'll go left to right for us. We'll start out with Jack. Jack, why did you join Slalom, and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Jack Rudelic. I lead the software engineering practice in Missouri Valley. Missouri Valley consists of St. Louis, Kansas City, Bentonville, Arkansas, love Bentonville, Arkansas, and Southern Illinois. And so I've been with Slalom 8 years. I've loved it ever since. That's why I stay here. And my focus is working with our clients, working on product strategy, software engineering strategy, more recently in the past couple of years, AI strategy, AI road mapping, and AI systems. The reason I came to Slalom was before I was at Slalom, I was working as a software engineer at a company, and I woke up every day and I was doing the same thing, not learning a lot, getting really bored with my career. And I was getting antsy. And I think that when people get antsy, they do certain things like travel, like learn new stuff. And I'd been a consultant before, but I decided I got to get back into it. I wanted to go to a new company, and I found Slalom. And since I've been at Slalom these past 8 years, I worked all over the country. I've worked in every industry, and I've learned so many unbelievable things about like the most unique stuff. Porn, seed distribution on farms, performance film, which is a wrap that you put on cars. I mean, just like so many things. Yesterday, I got to learn about outdoor cap, which was so cool. Another industry that I've never been a part of. And man, were those guys really fun to hang out with.
It's a great company.
Yeah.
I know the founder, the president. I've had them here before. Outdoor Cap is a phenomenal company. We'll come back to it, though.
All right.
That's good. Great.
And Erika.
Hi, I'm Erika Pflueger. I am a client partner with Slalom, also supporting the Missouri Valley region. I support all of our clients that are in the retail and consumer packaged goods portfolio. My background is in product management. I've been with Slalom for almost 5 years, so close to that bobblehead.
You are.
Let's see. I joined Slalom because I spent 10 years in industry working at various retailers, big box, small, B2B, B2C, and I got kind of bored. It was like I couldn't take another season of just launching product. So I had some friends that worked in consulting, and they said, come give it a chance. You can get breadth of industry, breadth of technology. Every day is vastly different, work on many different clients. So I jumped into that, and I loved it. I loved the challenge. I loved being surrounded by individuals who were curious. I loved going in and knowing that there was a problem that I could help my clients solve, and we could leave them with better outcomes for their customers. But I joined Slalom from there because I knew that I loved consulting, but I needed a firm that aligned with my values and how I wanted to show up as a consultant. So Slalom offers a great culture, like Andrew mentioned, and they're really supportive of our careers, and they always do right by their customers. So.
Yeah. Well, my name is Marco, and I'm part of our transformation practice at Slalom. So the work that we do there is really the intersection between people and emerging technologies and how that impacts organizations, whether that's workforce planning, organizational disruption, or the oversight and governance of technology and how that impacts people. So, the reason why I joined Slalom, as my colleagues talk about the big problems that we solve for our clients, is really exciting, and it's different every single day. And it is really, you bring us in for complex problems, right? What kind of brought me to Slalom is our like local feel. Even though we're a global company, we have offices in Europe, in Japan, South America. We have this really strong local feel where, sometimes when you bring professional services in, they may show up on Monday and leave on Thursday. We might say, hey, will I see you in the Razorbacks game? Or will I see you in the neighborhood market, right? So those are things that really matter because we invest in our clients and we want them to invest in our communities, and that really matters to us. So,
Andrew, when I was doing my background on Slalom, first thing I read the article when I went to AI and checked you out, all of you, and the first thing that came up was what a wonderful company it was, and it talked about the things that all of you talked about, and so congratulations on that. And we're so proud that you're here, as I mentioned. So let's just jump straight into this. Yesterday, doing business in Bentonville, we had our first live event in 5 years. We actually ended it during COVID, and then we waited for a period of time to do the things we needed to do to build the podcast. But here's the thing that we got into yesterday. We talked a lot about AI. And Jack, you represented us on the panel, so thank you for doing that. We really appreciate that. But let's get into this. Generative AI is really a powering virtual shopping assistance. And we talked a bit about that yesterday, about generative AI. So let's talk about that and talk about how Slalom is integrating these tools with your clients. And because I'll tell you, there was so much interest yesterday around AI, because my title was AI in retail, and we and our experts talked a lot about it. I'd like to hear from you, and because I know we get tons of questions about where is this going? What's the future of retail? What's the future? Well, generative AI is going to play a big part of that. So talk to us about that.
One of the things that's like almost true in every single company is there's a lot of data. There's a lot of domain knowledge that lives within that data. And there's a lot of answers that the people that work at those companies try to derive from that data. But with that data being so vast, it's hard to get those answers fast. And the business relies on constantly trying to get some of those answers to their customers. And what AI has been able to do is be able to tap into all of that data, and being able to tap into all that data and utilize like LLMs, generative AI, to not only like attach to those data sources, attach to those enterprise systems that you spend so much money on, but get the answers to the customers, to the employees faster. Now, when I talk about like why is that so important? Like getting that data to the employees and customers faster, the answers from that data to those employees faster, because the business runs on so many other business processes, and the ability to get answers faster based on your data, that's going to help supply chain, that's going to help HR. What are my benefits? How is that affecting me? What happens if I make this decision in my work day? How can we, logistics is another big thing. Logistics, you have so much information, so many parameters on how can we optimize a route, and being able to take that data and use generative AI to help you predict and give you those better routes. It's just the power of being able to consume data faster than any human has ever been able to, at a speed that is.
Okay, Erika, Marco, you want to add to that?
I think just to add on to what Jack just said, an example of how we're working at clients to really integrate AI into their everyday processes, not to only improve the lives of their employees, but also allow for better experiences for their customers too. I recently partnered with Jack at a consumer packaged goods client that also has consumer-facing websites, to take a look at the role of a software developer, the role of a product manager, and how they take an idea to an actual experience that the customer can interact with and ultimately purchase a product, and where we can thoughtfully inject AI. And that could be to speed up a software developer's role, to create a higher fidelity roadmap, to write better requirements. And we're looking at the tools that they already have on the ground. How do we take those and just leverage their capabilities? And we do things like training and testing and piloting those tools with them, so that they can ultimately deliver more business outcomes for the year.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah, and just doubling down with what Erika and Jack are saying, I think on the people side, it really is about adoption, right? So not only are you implementing these Gen AI tools, how do you make sure that the people that are using them are equipped and know how to use them well? Otherwise, you have very expensive technology that no one's using. So I think that's the other thing that we help our clients with is, here are the right tools for the right things you're doing, and then here's how we help implement that from a people perspective, which includes training, change management, and changing operational structures.
Excellent. Andrew, I would should comment on this, but I would say that what you said about taking technology and getting the right technology in the right spot with the right people inside the organization is huge. Because that's productivity, it's cost containment, it's all of that. And so I love how you're going to adapt all this in the organizations.
Well, one of the things I think that's also interesting is, they talked about what we're doing, but I think how we do it, right? And so I think there's a lot of, MIT had of what's now becoming almost as famous as Doug saying every job's going to be impacted by AI. MIT talks about how all of these failed AI projects. And I think that there's some keys to success that you touched on yesterday, Jack, but I think that as you look at the projects and as, Erika's implementing them and Marco's helping developing the strategy for them, that not going to boil the ocean, but how you get quick wins and build it out. And so I'd like to tee that up as something for the group to talk about as well.
Oh, exactly. And I would love to hear too, when we're teeing this up, and I'm glad you brought that up. Yesterday, I showed a slide from Doug McMillan, CEO of Walmart, and he said that AI is going to change everything, and he said I don't know if it's not, I don't know a job that hasn't going to be affected by it, basically. Yeah. And so let's talk about that.
Well, I'll start first. So, Andrew mentioned the MIT study of like most POCs don't deploy, right? I'm working with a client right now that does have 9 POCs that they have developed. So 9 production-ready AI solutions that are not going to production. And the reason for it is they don't have governance and oversight. They're too nervous to deploy these things. They're concerned that when they do deploy, that they'll crash systems or they'll create legal violations and all sorts of things. And I think that a lot of companies, as they're moving fast, they also need to build the infrastructure to support the AI solutions that they do want to build. So that does come with like oversight, governance, and then the people and training side behind that. So
I think another thing about like those, say like the failed projects is when AI was originally brought to a bunch of companies, it was focused on bringing new tools with AI to these companies. And people are so used to doing their job the way that they do it, that they usually don't need another tool. What AI is so great at is taking the manual processes that already exist and removing those manual processes. Somebody said yesterday, it might have been BV, it's going to be great when we're not even talking about AI anymore. Because like when AI is not something that you're necessarily like an add-on to your business, but it's something that exists within your systems that removes additional work that you're doing every day. And then people feel more empowered to start doing like more creative, communicating more, speaking more with the clients. And so that's why I think a lot of those first projects, they're trying to create more tools as opposed to really understanding the business process, business operations that exist, and utilizing AI to make that manual work not there anymore.
I would say one thing we do really well is temper expectations with our clients around AI and help them build out those initial use cases. Not everything is a good use of AI. So we do a really great job of sniffing out what are the best use cases where they can get the most return on their investment, and then quickly iterating through that to show them results. To say like, this is worth something, you should productionize it.
It's great. I think it's a great comment. Follow-up. Any follow-up on that, Andrew?
No, I think they covered it well, and then I think that it touched on some of the topics we want to hit on as well, about just like ethics and how you really do successfully default things.
I think we do, and a bit. I'll set this question up just a bit because I do want to talk about ethics and the ethical implication that is in the news. I've mentioned as we were chatting before the podcast that I read an article in Washington Post this morning, and it was really talking about this whole ethical implication around technology, AI, and so. Anyway, I think, Marco, I think you'd like to lead off on that and talk about that. I think we all should, because we're talking about what you talked about, Jack, the implication of it. And I like how you set that up, by the way. And that was really powerful the way you said that. But there is an ethical thing, ethical implications around this. So lead us off on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to a chief legal officer and chief compliance officer earlier this week about developing their AI and governance program. And one of the things that I highlighted in that conversation is you cannot blame AI when it goes wrong. You have to hold a human accountable, right? And so that's requires an understanding of oversight and governance behind that. And so when I think about ethics as it relates to governance and oversight, it really is principle-based. So what are the hard lines in the sand that you as an organization say we will not cross? Also, think about principles of like transparency, explainability, and then not only just having those principles, but how do you operationalize that? How do you build the controls behind that? And then how do you stay compliant legally as well? I will say that the right now the legal framework for AI is really a patchwork. It's all over the place from the federal level, international level, and so when there's a lot of like ambiguity with law behind AI, that's where governance matters more than ever. So if you look well governed, regulators tend to not look into your business as much. The other thing I'll mention is there's still like really strong consumer protection laws, still really strong privacy laws, still really strong data laws that are still well established, that are very applicable to AI. So what I'm saying with ethics is you always have to think about what is the human accountability aspect of that, and then what are your North Stars to guide your controls, your processes, to make sure you design AI systems that are responsible and safe for your organization.
Good. Excellent. Further comments on that?
Marco did
He's our resident expert on it. I will just say I delivered a project in healthcare probably 3 years ago at this point, and it was it was at a time where AI wasn't as buzzy as it is now. And we injected AI to automate the processing of appeal documents. And those are, it was for a managed care organization, so a very heavily regulated industry. And I partnered with Marco during that time to establish some governance and explainability and really manage the product from idea to production and make sure that we were launching responsible AI and our models didn't have bias. And that was very early stages. I think Marco was really the first person that even got them thinking about governance. So
good.
I want to just add one thing that I think this was from like a concept framework that Marco created. Keep patting Marco on the back.
yeah.
But when we think about governance and ethics within AI, and I recommend this, and maybe Marco can elaborate on this more, like the 3 things to think about that like partner together within governance is people, the tools, and the processes.
Right.
And those are the 3, like, check those things. Like, who are the people that are using it? Who are the people that are going to be responsible for it and going to be like the ones that take on the risk? Understanding all the processes that exist within the way that you're utilizing AI. And really be certain of every tool that it touches, because the way that those tools process that information, the way that those tools store that information, and potentially if it's an LLM, the way that those tools create new information based off that data.
Good.
Yeah, I think I'll just add to that.
Yeah,
too.
please.
Yeah, so the when you think about that structure, you got to think about AI governance really as a team sport. Like, who are the people, who are the first line folks involved with oversight, the people whose hands are on the keyboard. Then who are the due diligence folks, your legal folks, your compliance folks, your privacy folks, your IT security folks. And then who are the people that audit that to make sure you're in compliance with those things. And to Jack's point too, the reason why there's an emphasis on this is we're talking about a technology that has a level of autonomy that can execute with a little guidance. And if you don't put guardrails around that, you could expose information that you don't want exposed throughout your company. And we're talking about like privacy information. We're talking about HR information. We're talking about your customers' data.
Right.
So these are things that without the right guardrails, without the right technology, could create a lot of issues. And that's why you need really strong oversight. As companies and organizations explore AI solutions, they need in parallel to think about what is the structures that will protect us as we do that exploration.
Andrew and team, one of the things I was thinking about, and I thought about this question and just thought for a bit, it made me stop and think about this. And as your clients or potential clients lean into this, in my research, 80% of retailers are going to expend their AI. We've talked a lot about that. It makes sense to do it for a lot of reasons. But the number one thing here that I want to underline that you all are talking about from this ethical situation is trust. We say all the time, people will follow a leader as far as they trust them. And then when you lose trust, you sort of quit following them. You need to anyway. You find yourself in that place. But I think it's the same thing here. If companies, organizations don't put those guardrails up as you talked about, especially in each of those areas you talked about, those companies, those organizations are going to lose trust with people. When you lose trust, it's just about over. So I just want to underline and capitalize what we're talking about here, and to all of our viewers, this may be the most important thing we talk about today from the standpoint of getting your process right and all the things that you all do to help them and do that. But I think it's the number one issue facing in our country and this whole thing around AI. I would hate to see something we would bump against the guardrails with something that could be phenomenal for this country and the businesses. So, any other thoughts on that, Andrew? We'll move to the next topic.
No, I think it's a core principle. I think it's important, right? If you look at, there's a little retailer in town that wants to be the most trusted retailer, and they're also probably leading the way in AI. And keeping both of those things paramount are important, but it has to be foundational. Like from the start, you have to have your guardrails up. Then when you're building, Erika is very humbly talking about the things she did, but she took basically things that were written on the back of napkins, as you can put a claim in, right? Wildly unstructured, to structured, trusted, high percentage of efficacy, and now in a regulated industry delivered. But if you do it foundationally, as a retailer, as a logistics company, as a bank, in all the different industries, if you have that foundation right, you can maintain that trust because you don't allow access to the wrong data. You govern how it's exposed, right? Mm-hmm. I think, one of the things that we talked a little bit about just in seeing what might be interesting is what do people see in the future? I can tell you that I've sat in groups here locally, and some are, holy cow, start bundling up cash and gold and get a bunker. And there's others that are looking forward to a 20-hour work week. And so the future, I think you got near midterm and long term. And we may not have enough time to go through it today, but I would like to kind of
let's do it
from the group what
Good.
They see.
I want to hear it. Let's do it. And I know our viewers want to hear it. Go ahead. Who's starting out?
I'm going to toss it to you because I want you to tell them about your 4-day work week.
Okay, that's what I was going to talk about. So, Andrew, I'm on the camp here. So I think the future in the United States, at least, is heading toward a 4-day work week. I think we're going to have enough productivity that occurs with AI systems and AI solutions that we're heading towards a 4-day work week. So,
Jack, you told me you already did a 4-day work.
and part of my reason,
I think people like you. Okay, I'm just saying right now, he's going to be the most popular guy.
Oh yeah. Well, part of my reasoning is if you look all over the world, they are reducing their work weeks. So, like you look at countries like South Korea that has like really long hours. We're talking about like 60 plus hours of work per week. They're reducing that, and I think like this trend is happening because AI is being productive, is increasing productivity, efficiency, and I think that's a positive trend.
And then there's large hyperscalers that have tested and proven that with some of their workforce to do that. I won't name names, but there's documented studies where people have done that and seen productivity improve. So
I'm going to speak from the product management side. Imagine a world where your roadmap is never late and you're delivering on time early. That's what we've personally experienced this year by injecting AI into the product development lifecycle is higher fidelity roadmaps that we're actually shifting left. And so we're able to do a lot more, but we didn't have to increase headcount to do those sorts of outcomes. So if you think of the roadmap, that's one of the most important artifacts in the development lifecycle, and being able to send that all the way up to the C-suite and share updates where we're on time, we're moving quicker, we're able to add in more features into the MVP. That's really the power of AI that I'm seeing our clients do.
That's wonderful. That's great feedback.
One of the things that I think is going to catch on, I think has been catching on, is that the power of these tools remove the barrier to entry so much in so many different things. Building apps, creating designs, being able to just create things in general. So I think like the power of creativity that individuals are going to have is just going to explode. And I think that the only thing that's holding that back right now is the adoption and people really understanding these tools. But these tools are going to get easier. They're going to get more available to the younger generation. Older generation's also going to be more keen to use them. And I think that it's just going to be so cool for people to be more innovative in the way that they are able to build stuff, be able to create stuff, less focused on, okay, there's 400 steps to be able to release a feature or build one thing. They're going to be less focused on the steps and more focused on what else can I do? And I just think that's going to be so fun. And I mean, I'm already on that. Like, I'm building apps. I'm thinking about every day, like, what was holding me back and what can I start doing? And I challenge everybody to do that.
I think Jack's 100% right. I'm seeing with a lot of my clients an explosion of a citizen developer. So like, the concept of citizen developer is not new. It's been around for a while, but I think AI is actually making it possible and real. So I think Jack is spot on here.
Excellent. When I did my research on your company, on Slalom, the thing that I kept reading over and over, and I could tell was three things about this company. And I'm hearing it coming out from all of you, and it's really exciting. First, it says company is known for its focus on modern technology. Correct. And you all are demonstrating that. So I would say you've done great on that whole space. The other thing is business transformation. We talked about business transformation some today. And Erika, one of the things you said, I love the roadmap you talked about. That's transformation.
Yeah.
That's what that is. And you've all have talked about that. The other thing that came out, and you began with it, Andrew, was the strong culture in the company. You've all talked about that a bit. I will tell you, I get to sit with a lot of wonderful people and great companies, but for you coming in and quickly getting to those three things, it shows the focus of this organization. And I will tell you, it's just wonderful talking about it. So as we wrap up, and I wish we had a long time. I wish we could I really do. But you come back. Can we get these? Can we bring them back? Since they're so productive, can we get them back?
We can get the band back.
Okay, because I want to go more. I got like a whole nother page of questions. But anyway, as we wrap up, Andrew, what do you want to wrap up on? What are some of the greatest points you want to end on, or what would you, your potential clients, what would you share with them? Just ever how you want. Because I'm just so excited about what you've already said this morning. So you take it.
We're excited as well, and I think really that on the topic we're talking about AI, it's disruptive, and I think some companies are diving in without maybe necessarily putting some of the things that maintain trust and have the governance and everything in place. It's not complicated, and frankly, I think you felt the passion. Like I did. Yeah, I do. And we already have just from the meetings we've had. People are excited and asking Marco to come back and say, and he just wants to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? So we do workshops, we do things like that. We sincerely want to see the right outcomes from clients. And we also know that sometimes we have to do some investment up front to earn that trust. And that's what this team is doing here, this week. And I sincerely appreciate them coming through. Hopefully you see, there's great love on that side of the table. Everybody, that culture is fantastic. It's collaborative. They're all in different phases of, strategy build and delivery, but it's a very symbiotic relationship. In a lot of companies, you'll see angst, between things. But when you get culture right and when you get people working in harmony, what they deliver is fantastic. And so, we're just excited about delivering that to the clients here in Northwest.
Well said. Any last thoughts from these brilliant people sitting across from us?
Bentonville's a great place.
Yeah, I really love it.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, we got to meet with a lot of clients this weekend, but there's a lot more buildings that I see around here, and I'd love to keep meeting a bunch of the clients.
Yeah. Well, we hope we can help you with that here with the podcast. We'll just keep talking about it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Erika, any thoughts?
I would just agree. I really love my time here. This is my third or fourth time here. Hope to keep coming back. Would love to meet with anybody who's interested in the topics that we discussed today. And obviously, we're very focused on AI, but we can meet you wherever.
Yeah.
I will say that I think our geographic area here is really lucky to have 3 places with great barbecue. We got St. Louis, Kansas City, and then here in Bentonville. So
Very important.
I love it. I love it.
When the wind's right, you can smell rights, right?
Any final thoughts, Andrew?
No, I think they wrapped it up well. And Andy, thank you so much for having us.
Oh,
It's such a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, my final thought for our viewers is this. You said it. AI is a disruption. It really can be. But instead of a disruption, you need to talk to the people here to help you navigate that disruption and turn it into productivity and into doing great things for your people, great things for the company, creating better products, creating better flow, whatever it is. And I would just tell anyone that's searching for an organization to help them navigate the disruption or the future, I would say talk to this group, reach out to them, and you can find them on the website, right? What's your website?
Slalom.com.
That's right. So, yeah, that's easy. Yeah, as simple as easy. Well, it's been a privilege to spend time with each of you this morning. Thank you for making time. Jack, again, thank you for yesterday.
Absolutely.
It was
a pleasure.
It was really good. We actually have to all of our viewers, we have another live event coming up January 29th. So check us out at our website, Doing Business in Bentonville, or subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll get all the latest. So to all of our viewers, thank you. Thank you for making 2025 a great year. We're looking forward to 2026. We're going to have this group back someday, right? Soon.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.